The news is live on Joy 99.7 FM here in Accra and Kumasi. We are on Love 99.5 FM affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions. We are on Kekeli Radio in Ho, A1 Radio in Bolgatanga. We are on Fafa Radio in Joje and Karaga FM in Karaga. We are live on X Spaces. We are on Facebook. We are on myjoyonline.com. The Midday News is sponsored by Petrosol. Your clean fuel in full quantity. Petrosol is always a delightful experience. Also brought to you by Duroplus Ghana Limited, producers of quality PVC and HDPE pipes and water tank. We are the only water storage tank with a level indicator. Where Duroplus goes, water flows. This afternoon, the Ghana Independent Broadcasters Association, GIBA, challenges legality of the $15,000 digital terrestrial television monthly fees, describing the minister's imposition as arbitrary.
You're right to be giving fees for such a platform, and this is the point we raise.
I'll give you a breakdown of this and tell you how TV viewing will be affected if the Communications Ministry carries out the threat to shut down the DTT platform to media houses that are owing. Also in Parliament, sponsors of anti-gay bill fight proposed deletion of Clause 4 of the document, taking out the creation of the offence of undermining Ghanaian family values.
The deleting and creating an offence, we shouldn't be having ambiguities and subjectivities. That's why the proposal is that we delete the entire clause.
I take you live to Parliament for that debate. Also, local government minister launches ambitious campaign to revive voter participation in the district assembly elections, aiming for 50% turnout next week.
So it's possible to go beyond 50%. And that's why we're very encouraged of your support and your help. Maybe come next December, we'll go beyond 50%.
We have more. Some aspirants explain their role, or what their role entails if they should get the nod.
So the role of Assembly Member 1, you are the intermediary between your community members and local governments. Let me put it that way.
You are mandated to attend all General Assembly meetings and subcommittee meetings.
And their sports.
Former Black Stars coach C.K. Akono shares insight on how Ghana can end the 41-year drought for the AFCON title.
And beyond the odds, 61-year-old visually impaired Clement has refused to be a burden on his family.
My grandfather had same challenges with his eyes.
I
have the hope that one day my situation will get better.
That's coming up in our stories of hope. And from Africa to the world. It's a sad end of an inspiring African voice as award-winning South African musician Zahara passes on tributes all over the world around for her. And more in this afternoon's edition of the Midday News. I am Emefa. Apawu, this is your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. Please do stay on for details. We get on into the news now, and the Ghana Independent Broadcasters Association is this afternoon strongly resisting attempts of signal shutdown by Communications Minister Esla Owusu-Ekufo if they fail to pay for the use of the digital terrestrial television DTT platform. According to the minister, the government, which has been footing the bill for the operating the platform, can no longer bear the cost, and media houses are refusing to pay despite several notices to them. But GIBA insists there is no consensus on the quoted fee of $15,000 a month per broadcaster. Before we hear from GIBA, listen to Esla Owusu-Ekufo giving the strong signal on sanctions against those who refuse to pay the fee.
None of the broadcasters on the DTT platform pay for using it as I speak. And this situation cannot continue in our current economic state. GIBA is not a broadcaster hosted on this platform. So I don't know in which capacity they would be active. They have constituent members who are broadcasters on the DTT platform, but none of them have paid a peswa to date for being hosted on the platform. So it is not correct to state that any entity being hosted on the platform has paid for being hosted on it. They have not. There is actually matters pending in court because they have been notified that government has indicated that it cannot continue to pay for the operations and maintenance of this DTT platform.
But Giba insists the amount was revised to $10,000 after some considerations. Listen to President of Giba, Cecil Sonkwa-Mills, who spoke to my colleague Evans Mensah on Top Story.
The minister sent out invoices from the ministry to stations requesting them to pay a certain fee per month.
How much was this?
Well, initially in the conversation that we were not giving, the fee was proposed at $15,000 a month.
$15,000 a month per station?
And at a meeting where some of our members were, they asked the question that what made up $15,000 a month? Because remember that these stations also distribute channels on other platforms. So they told us to come back with us with a breakdown of how this they came out. But she said that they had done a consideration and they were looking at $10,000 a month.
The association also reveals it is in court over the issue because the communications minister has no legal right to set fees for the use of the DTT platform.
And for us, the point is that you cannot allot fees on a national platform where people use arbitrary. And as a minister, the minister does not have that legal right to be giving fees for such a platform. And this is the point we raised. After the meeting, the minister sent out invoices to stations, and then we consulted the court for a clear interpretation of what this meant. That can the minister do as she is saying or not? As it is now, we're in court waiting for the outcome and explanation.
Cecil Sonkwa-Mills is the president of the Ghana Independent Broadcasters Association, GIBA. Well, let's take a look at this DTT platform and who is on it and what the effect or impact will be. In the studio with me is Isaac Kofi Menta is with our research desk. First, let's talk about the broadcasters on this particular platform.
Well, Emefa, there are about 118 television stations currently on air. That's according to NCA. And if the shutdown actually, happens next year, we may have about 54 of these television stations not having, access to the DTT platform. So let's do some sort of breakdown in terms of the DTT. There are 6 types. So we have the DTT free-to-air that goes nationwide. We have about 41 of them. The DTT free-to-air, but on regional basis, we have about 6. And then we also have the DTT paid television services only. There's none in Ghana at the moment. We have the DTT pay services and frequency, 5 of them. And there's also the DTT network only. There's none in Ghana. And the last one is the DTT, where we have about radio stations, about 2 of them. So if you compute this, we have about 54, or if you look at the free-to-air, 41 television stations that may be affected on the digital platform when this actually happens. But one thing is that we need to note that this is the DTT platform. We have television stations that are both on the DTT platform and then also on the DTH, which is the direct-to-home platform. And so most of them are complaining that if they're supposed to pay that $15,000 per month, then it means that they'll be paying double on the DTT platform and then also on the DTH platform. And that's the concern that they are raising. They are willing to pay, but they want a reasonable amount so that they don't have to bear huge costs at the DTT platform and also on the DTH platform.
Well, whilst we haggle that out, though, we've been hearing from the communications minister on how they will shut it down if broadcasters fail to pay by January. Well, how would this affect the particular platform if it's shut down, you'd say?
So if you look at the platforms that we are talking about, is the digital ones. And first we moved from the analog to the digital, and most of them did the migration in 2016. And some of them have been on this platform for the past 5 or 6 years. And so if this should happen, some are saying then we are going to have a complete shutdown of TV station. That's not what is going to happen, because you still have access to your television station probably on the DTH platforms and not on the DTT. People love the DTT, others also love to watch their television station on the DTH. But the most important thing is that we have about 41 free-to-air on the DTT platform, and if this should happen, could be very problematic.
Thank you very much, Kofi J. And this is an issue that we are monitoring. There's more of it also on myjoyonline.com. But let me take you to Parliament now, where a sponsor of the controversial anti-gay bill is vehemently fighting an amendment to the bill which would make or delete the entire Clause 4 of the bill. Clause 4 creates an offence when a person allegedly undermines proper human sexual rights and Ghanaian family values. Listen to Chairman of the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee, Kwame Enyumedu Entry, provide an explanation for why the deletion is necessary.
I against undermining proper human sexual rights and Ghanaian family values. Though this clause creates an offense relating to undermining proper human sexual rights and Ghanaian family values, what constitutes, quote, undermine, end of quotation, is not defined, and therefore the basis of the offense cannot be determined. Mr. Speaker, this is the advice that the learned Attorney General gave to the committee, and the entire committee agreed on this advice. And that's why we agreed, as have been said by ranking, that it was too much of subjectivity, and therefore we need to end ambiguities. And that is why we are proposing that in deleting and in creating an offense, we shouldn't be having ambiguities and subjectivities. That's why the proposal is that we delete the entire clause.
Let me bring in Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante. Kweku, first walk us through the full rendition of this particular clause.
So clause 4 of this bill says, a person shall not undermine the proper human sexual rights and Ghanaian family values specified in section 2 of this act, or directly or indirectly instigate, command, counsel, procure, solicit, or in any other manner purposely aid the acts that undermines the proper human sexual rights and Ghanaian family values. And any person who contravenes this will pay a penalty unit of 2,000 penalty units, or will be sentenced to a prison term of not less than 2 months and not more than 4 months. According to the committee, this clause is laden with ambiguities and could possibly be struck out as unconstitutional. But Roxy Nelson, part of those who are sponsoring this bill, really believes that this is such a key part of the bill. If they delay this, it will make nonsense of the bill.
Mr. Speaker, the essence of 4 is so cardinal to this legislation, so cardinal, so fundamental to it. I have been struggling to appreciate the point made by the ranking member that this offense, Article 39, is not been able to point it out. There's the subjectivity element that he points to. That too, I am struggling to appreciate, because you see, when we enact the provision this way, subject to the enhancement contained in the amendments listed thereafter, there will be investigation. If somebody makes a complaint that clause 4, which subsequently will become section 4 of the law, has been breached, that is not the end of it. Investigations will be conducted. It is the investigation that will establish a prima facie that indeed clause 4, subsequently section 4 of the law, has been breached or not. So there are similar provisions in other laws.
And Kweku, the chairman of the committee, disagrees with this position?
Yes, he says if they continue to pass this, the president will either refuse to sign the bill because it will be unconstitutional, or the Supreme Court will ultimately strike out the law.
I am not sure, Mr. Speaker, that when we finish with this, it is done. And in accordance with the procedure, we would have to send whatever we do in this House to the president for assent. The president would then have to come back to us on issues that are unconstitutional. And we have to be very careful and make sure that we have ironed out all creases before we send this bill out for assent. Mr. Speaker, sometimes I feel very ashamed when issues which are very elementary, so far as law is concerned, is sent to the Supreme Court, and then this Parliament is pronounced as having erred.
And Kweku, so what was his decision on this then?
Because there was no agreement, several amendments was proposed to deal with clause 4 of the bill. There was still no agreement, so the decision from both sides of the House was to stand down clause 4 and continue. So the House is currently continuing with the other clauses, and the decision is that later on they will try and build some consensus through what is called the win-win stage, and then bring back clause 4 for a decision.
Okay, that's Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante there. Now, the local government minister is aiming to achieve over 50% participation in the upcoming District Assembly and Unit Committee elections scheduled for next Tuesday. Dan Kweku Botre is determined to regenerate interest and enthusiasm for the democratic process despite the noticeable decline in participation since the late 80s. The minister addressed journalists yesterday to help whip up interest in the process. But before we hear from him, many voters are already demonstrating apathy towards the process.
No, I don't know my assemblyman.
One or two about assembly elections, Nimuda. Obian to abad. I don't know abano.
Even when you vote for these leaders, they do not do anything in the community. I don't see the reason I should waste my time to vote for them. It's always a repetition. You vote one into power, and they don't do anything until the next elections, and the next person is voted into power. There really is no use in voting for them. I have noticed that if you vote for any leader in this country, you are simply giving them opportunity to enrich themselves and their families. That is why I'm not interested in voting for anyone.
When him say, will right, no responsibility, say, we elect Obi for local government. I also be representative. So if something is going on in your community that is not good or needs the attention of government, that is the person who is supposed to go and represent and talk about your grievances. How do we make sure, say, going forward, no, the right thing is done?
I'm not only person I can vote to the.
I am not the only person who needs to vote for them to work. If I don't, someone else will, and if they win, they will do what they have to do.
Thankfully, the local government minister, Dan Botre, joins us on the line. We are grateful for your time here on the Midday News. So let's talk about the road to achieving 50% participation in this particular District Assembly and Unit Committee elections. What do we ought to do and what's in place already?
Hello.
Good afternoon, sir. If you can hear me.
Good afternoon.
I'm asking about the aim to achieving 50% participation. What do we ought to do and what's in place already for that to happen?
Well, thank you. Emefa, there's no doubt about the importance of the local government elections, and for that matter, the district assembly concept. But the issue is that, as we have presented the data, since 1988, that we had a vote turnout of 59%, and then 98 when we had 41%. We've not had any voter turnout up to 40%, and we normally have very good turnout in the districts, especially in the towns and villages. But when we come to the very urbanized areas, the turnout is very low. And we all have agreed that there are a lot of advertisements. I mean, your stations, TV stations, through NCCE, to the Electoral Commission, they've got sponsorship. And for the past 8 weeks or so, they have intensified the advertisements. But we still want to do more so that at least this year, we should get people interested to participate in this level elections exactly a week today. And we aim at getting at least 50% turnout. And it's important that we deepen decentralization, we deepen the interest people should have in the assembly elections, and the importance of making sure that we strengthen the assembly concept and even the national structures that we have, sub-district structures that we have. It's important. I don't think our argument now is the importance of it, but it's the people participation and the tendency for people to think that it's a certain class of people who should vote in the assembly elections, but others don't even think that they should vote because it's other, pardon my words, other is below their level or something. So they don't show interest. But it's so important, it's so fundamental to our democracy. And when all people, all class of people should show interest, find time a week today to go 19th December and go and cast their ballot.
And also about urban participation in particular, there are those who feel that a holiday probably for that day will be motivation enough for all of us to participate. Have you considered that?
I'm not so sure of that. We believe that this is particular lessons that normally you don't have to be in the queue for a long time. you can really go and vote for, because just your area, you can just go and vote and still be able to take part in your normal work. Because at the end of the day, to Emefa, those who are on government payroll are not that as compared to the number we have in the voter roll, because there are many people who are self-employed and they also go and vote. So I do not think that the real issue why we are not getting very high turnout is because of not declaring the day a holiday. But for me, it's the concerted effort to, as it were, drum up the sensitization that we are all getting involved in, and let all people know that it's important to take part in the different level elections. It's so fundamental, it's so important to our democratic parties. It is the national constitution, it's in all the laws of Local Governance Act 936 2016, and it's so important that it performs a very important roles at the unit level and also at the district level, and they coordinate, they integrate, and harmonize many programs and projects in approved development plans in their district. And it's so important that we all get involved in it. And we really encourage the media to help us sensitize the people and then the communities and all voters to take part in the elections next week.
Thank you very much. That's the local government minister, Dan Botche there. But what role will they play if they are elected? My colleague Sweetie Abochi engaged some aspirants.
So the role of Assembly Member 1, you are the intermediary between your community members and local governments, let me put it that way. So more or less you represent the people in terms of their needs, their prioritization of their needs, you bring it to the assembly. So what needs to be done is that at every general assembly meeting, you the assembly member need to meet your electorate. What are their needs, what are their problems and challenges? That is what you bring to the discussion at the general assembly.
Is to represent your respective electoral area, and you are mandated to attend all general assembly meetings and subcommittee meetings, and you are to be the voice of the people.
Well, aside the low enthusiasm in the election, women participation has also been abysmally low. In Nahim-Ronom North electoral area in the Ashanti region, voters are banging their hopes on the only female aspirant to resolve the open defecation problem in the area. Here's Anita Sewa's report read to you.
Residents at Old Tafu Municipal Assembly bemoan the increasing practice of open defecation in the municipality due to lack of proper toilet facilities. One public toilet serves the municipality. Community members are disappointed with the lack of effort of assemblymen elected over the years to improve sanitation. They are hoping to elect a woman in the upcoming district level election for the first time to improve the sanitation crisis.
If Honorable Hawa Mohammed is elected into office, I know her can do spirit, because even as her position right now, not even elected as any assemblywoman, or she's not even having any portfolio or any position. She's even fighting hard for us to get as much as more public toilets in this electoral area.
No politine gugu e fie chen ya ni dia gugu on the best year obetimi aboa ya solve our problem.
For the past 8 years, the current assemblyman hasn't been able to curtail open defecation.
Hawa Mohammed, the first lady to contest the district level election in the area, plans to end open defecation at Old Tafu Municipal Assembly.
Not having a public toilet, if by the grace of God they vote me into the office, the first thing that I'm going to do is the public toilet for the neighborhood.
And you ought to participate a week from today, the district assembly level elections. And that's how we go for a quick break here on the Midday News on Joy 99.7 FM in Accra, in Kumasi on Love 99.5 FM. The Midday News is proudly sponsored by Petrosol, your clean fuel in full quantity. Petrosol is always a delightful experience. Also brought to you by Duroplus Ghana Limited, producers of quality PVC and HDPE pipes and water tank. We are the only water storage tank with a level indicator where Duroplus goes. Water flows. Will return from the break with sport. Beyond the odds, 61-year-old visually impaired Clement has refused to be a burden on his family to fend for himself. That's in today's edition of Stories of Hope, and from Africa to the world.
About the industry. I wrote my music to inspire people, to give hope to people.
It's a sad end of an inspiring African voice as award-winning South African musician Zahara passes on tributes all over the world coming in for her.
When budgets are tight and money difficult to come by, you want to be sure you get the best value for your money. These are not times to be spending money fixing expensive engine problems because of cheap fuel and lubricants. Drive to a petrol source station today and buy your quality fuel and lubricants, and rest assured of fuel that lasts long and lubricants that prevent expensive engine problems. Hear the sound. Petrosol, clean fuel in full quantity.
It is your time to vote for your assembly members and unit committee members. So get involved and vote. It's a civic duty required of you as a Ghanaian. So get involved and vote.
A message from the National Commission for Civic Education, NCCE.
Where for Shikibe? Where for Shikibe? Where for Shikibe? Yanko to a problem, yanko to a bad problem, yanko to a bad problem, yanko to a bad problem. Me ato, me vedako, me ato, me vedako. Mute Zakoria, Zakoria. It is your time to vote for your assembly members and unit committee members. So get involved and vote.
A message from the National Commission for Civic Education, NCCE.
Thanks for staying with us here on the Midday News. Let's do sports.
Yeah,
Mubarak.
thank you very much, Emefa. Now, in just 32 days, Ghana will head to Ivory Coast for the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations, eager to win the trophy and break the 41-year title drought. But optimism surrounding the team is not great. The team has failed to reach the quarterfinals since 2017. But former Ghana coach C.K. Akona is confident the story will be different next year with only adequate preparation.
It's something we can achieve. It's something that we've yearned for it for a long time. There's a need for us, not just the coach, but the people around him also to help and support, because it's for us, not for an individual. So I think we should have a teamwork, a plan. Sometimes what we normally do, we wait till the last minute and then the planning starts from way back. And we need to prepare very well and get in there. I feel this time around, once we do it, there's a chance for us to win the tournament.
Yeah, Emefa, that's former Black Stars coach C.K. Akona on the chances of the Black Stars.
Thank you very much, Mubarak. It's time for Stories of Hope, and there's the story of a 61-year-old visually impaired who is refusing to be a burden on his family. My colleague Peter Seno has more.
We take you to Lekpe Kukrantumi in the Gwan district of the Oti region, where Clement, against all odds, is hoping things would turn out better for him someday. He got blinded gradually from age 15. He says only 2 of his other 5 siblings could see. Now, at age 61, Clement lives a solitary life. My grandfather had same challenges with his eyes, so I don't know if it is hereditary. Despite his visual impairment, he has over 3 acres of cocoa farm and at least 4 ropes of maize farm to his credit. He leads me to his farm. I must add, before he gets to his farm, there is this dangerous crossing. Victor is one of the neighbors on the farm. He says they have to help him with the clearing sometimes. Foya is like a father to us in the bush. We come to stay with him to make him happy and help him clear his farm. But what is motivating him to keep striving? I asked. I have the hope that one day my situation will get better. My prayer and supplication to God is that He should help me and grant me the desires of my heart.
And that's our stories of hope. Enough to fully achieve this dream, but make no mistake, South African Afro-pop singer Zahara touched many souls around the world until her passing last night in Johannesburg at the age of 36. Her Loliwe hit song reached every corner of the world. Jacqueline and Sumayebwa looks back at her life.
Years ago, the worldwide hit Loliwe was swept through the world like wildfire. Now I see that Zahara's contribution to the music industry earned her numerous accolades, making her a beloved figure among fans and peers alike. A year ago, she visited Ghana to commemorate 11 years of her Loliwe hit single and featured on Joy FM's personality profile with Lexus Bell.
I never knew about the industry. I wrote my music to inspire people, to give hope to people. So when people in Ghana, it's like my music, I'm a household name. It's in every house, I'm a household name. So that means what I was praying for, what I wanted to do.
Zahara unfortunately has been battling with ill health for some time. On 27 November, her family and team confirmed the situation by releasing a statement on social media. Zahara could not make it and passed away on Monday, 11 December in a Johannesburg hospital. For Joy News, I am Jacqueline Ansuma Iabua.
And just before we head out, Jacqueline is with me in the studios. There are lots of tributes. Let's go through some of them briefly.
Well, Emefa, when you head over to X, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa posted a video on X with the caption, "Zahara's passing is unfortunate and we've been robbed of a great talent." And also the South African Minister of Arts and Culture also posted and says that, "I am very saddened by the passing of Zahara." And amongst that, we have Black Coffee, who is Grammy award-winning artist. He also shared his post. And also we have Lexus, who championed the Loliwe song in Ghana, and he says, "I'm so heartbroken to learn of Zahara's passing, the voice that belted the soundtrack of not just on my radio show but many life-changing songs."
Thank you very much, Jackie. And that train definitely will take her to the final resting place. And that's how we wrap up today's edition of the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. There's more when you log on to myjoyonline.com. Pastor Mensa Otabil has Living Word up next. Have a good afternoon.